that's going to be the children's story, and we don't have a children's story, and I don't have the mic on. I think you, Sam's back there waving around. He's a strange man. We start the sermon, and he's, I don't know. He's praising the Lord. I love it. So we were playing this game, which Marla said, I said, I really need to come away from the week. It's been pretty stressful, a lot of things going on. I'd just like to spend some time connecting with you, so we're playing this game. And now the funny thing about this game, anybody in here play the game 5 Crowns? Oh, we do. Will and Yvonne do with their kids, but they kind of came over. It's... We learned it from Jake and Brandon. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and Marlis always says, she says, whoever starts dealing first wins the game. And I said, okay, you deal first. And I keep winning the game. I don't know how that works, but it's okay. Every now and then, one of us loses. But on Wednesday night, we're playing, and we were talking about the sermon, because it gives us enough, it's mindless enough that, you can actually, the game is not the important part. The interaction is the important part. And any game I play is going to be that kind of game. I don't really care about the game. I care about the people that I'm interacting with. So she asked this question, and she says, what is the title of the sermon? And I said, God's Mercantile. God's Mercantile. So then we began a conversation that is going to be the heart of this sermon. It was already pretty much put together, but it was just this electrifying moment. We could feel the Lord's presence. We could hear the Holy Spirit reaffirming and reaffirming and reaffirming. And that was spectacular. Really was spectacular, just to share that. Wish you had been there, but we'll try to take you there again. This was one of the things that we experienced on our hike. This is a ladybug. Do you see what she's eating? Those are little aphids. And she's just got a herd of them. And she's all about it. And that kind of reminds me of what God does for us. He provides for us in the most simple ways. We think we've got to work really hard. And all she had to do is show up to the flower. And there was a banquet for her. And that's the way God serves us. Just a banquet for us of His blessings and of His ministry, of His correction, of His chastisement, of His reproof. All of those things are blessings from God. God's Mercantile. What does God have for sale? You ever thought about that? Remember the text I just read you? Buy of me. Something is for sale from God. Salvation is a free gift, but you literally have to buy it. So what are you buying it with? That's a big question in this conversation with the church of Laodicea. That thing going to get me. He has a store. He sure does. Because you say, I am rich and have prospered and have grown wealthy. Because you perceive yourself as having gained all that is necessary, both spiritually and physically, you think you don't need anything. You are literally blind to your need. It's like when you go to Costco and you've just eaten breakfast. It's a great plan because you don't want to buy much. They have things for sale. They have little treats that you can sample, and you're like, no, I don't think so. I'm full. I'm full. I don't need anything. I really don't need anything. Yeah, we go to Costco, and I don't know how we come out of there with $700 worth of stuff, right? I think about our conversation, our journey last time. I'm like, we really need a printer. So we bought a printer. I can't eat the printer. I have a printer at home, but it's kind of, shaky. And so we're like, we need a printer. And really what sold us on it was the new kind of way they're doing ink and all those different things. So we bought stuff. But we are the people that go to the store and don't really know what we need. How many people in here need more shoes? If you need more shoes, raise your hand. Come to my house. Okay? I don't want to hear anything about women's shoes in the closet. Because I have men's shoes in the closet. I think I got more than Marlis does. What size? Well, because I put the orthotics in my shoes, they're 11 or 11 and a half. So if that's your size, you come on over. Maybe we'll share. Okay? We go through our clothes, and I got to get rid of some of these shirts. I don't need all these shirts. I got to get rid of stuff because I don't need it all. That's us. That's us. We have more than we need. We are in need of nothing. And you do not know that you are wretched, miserable, and poor, and blind, and naked, without hope, and in great need. You don't know that what you have is not what you need, and what you don't have is what I have. That's Jesus talking to us. And we, in the Sabbath school, Mary, I'm like, this goes right along with the sermon, right? Well, we don't know, is it Jesus talking to us? It's saying, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, hard heads. I'm talking to you, thick skins. It's you I'm talking to. You're in great need, without hope. You're miserable because you're dependent upon the worldly goods that you have, the spiritual satisfaction you have, that you're really not fulfilled. I thought about asking this question, and I said, I'm not going to ask it, I am going to ask it. Okay? And you don't have to raise your hand, but I'm going to ask it. Are you assured right now that when Jesus comes, He is taking you home? Are you assured of that right now? Answer that question in your own heart, in your own mind. It's a question between you and God. But I know for many of us, we ask, Lord, am I going to be prepared? Lord, am I worthy? Lord, have I been attentive to you? Lord, am I in your care and love? Have I lived my life in your church or in my own? Good questions. What are you thinking about God's view? This is the question I asked for you. Did anyone think about this question this week? I thought a lot about this question, right? What are you thinking about God's view of your condition? We talked about that this morning in church, in Sabbath school, and we found that the condition of the church is one that needs great healing. Sorry, Barry, to break the truth to you. Didn't like that part. Okay? But what happens is we blind ourselves to who we really are. And you know what? The people that can do this the most is the people that are in leadership, because pastors, conference officers, all those people, even elders, we can't go to someone and say, oh, you know what? I'm struggling with this. Could you help me? Because people believe that if they shared those things, people would see them as weak and unable to lead. And yet God says, it is your weakness that is your strength. It is being unrepentant that is your weakness. That is your destruction. So, what does God think of us, our condition? What do you hear? This is a personal question for each one of us. When I said when I was talking to Will at prayer breakfast this week, he says, "Oh, you're still talking about Laodicea. You are all doom and gloom, John." I'm like, well, it's Jesus. It's Jesus connecting to us, trying to wake us up. What are you praying for? What are your worst fears, and what are your greatest hopes? So I answered the question. And here, I started writing down, what do I hear Jesus saying my prayer should be? What is my prayer? So here it is. It's hard to believe this message is for us, but somehow we know it is. We see the compromise and politics in the church. The tried and failed ministry plans that have reaped a poor harvest. We know the unfocused emphasis and ministry we have for others. All of these things were mentioned in Sabbath school. We know so many who have not experienced vibrancy and life among us. And among us, our community is somehow struggling and treading water. So many that were raised in the church are walking other paths, and yet they still feel they are part of us, at least critically. They know us and are trying to find their way, and they and we seem to be spiritual weaklings. This sure looks lukewarm, right? That look lukewarm to you? It does to me. It doesn't look like the vibrancy of the church of Smyrna, a church that was under persecution, and yet were persistent in sharing the love of Jesus, in living their faith. They found it hard to compromise with the world and easy to look into the eyes of Jesus as they were dying and saying, "I'm sure you've got me, Lord." They were dying of persecution and knowing that they were going to come forth in the resurrection because their God was able to save to the uttermost. My prayer, Jesus, I hear you say that I'm lukewarm. I confess I can't. So if you notice, the first part was a we prayer. Okay, now I'm going to drop into my prayer. That I am lukewarm. I confess I can't be sure of what you mean. I hear you say that I'm delusional and that I need new self-knowledge and a heart change that allows me to be spiritually cold or hot. I don't want to be rejected. I must be self-righteous. I must be. I have a life plan, the one where I know the road. That's really nice. I'm going to live in, be part of the church. We're going to come on every Sabbath. We're going to share. We're going to journey. One day we're going to get older and older and older, and we're going to come to our death, and it's going to be okay, and we'll just move on. I don't think that's the life plan Jesus really has planned for all of us at all. I think he has a more vibrant life plan for us, but it involves a little bit more, how to put it, instability. Strange to think about that. And I'm delusional about my lukewarm condition. Now, do you know what delusional means? I've got a real good idea. When my cousin calls me and says that there are bombs that are in his room and they're going to explode at any minute, and everybody needs to get get away, go 100 feet away so they don't die, that's delusional. We are delusional about our condition, which means we believe in a non-reality. And Jesus is trying to say, you're delusional. I want you to see the truth. And when you're delusional, how do you see the truth without somebody shaking you somewhere into reality? Now, for those people who are mentally ill, you can't shake them into reality. You can love them, you can be there for them, but your shaking would only feel more dangerous to them. But Jesus doesn't say that we're insane. He says we're delusional. We are self-deceived. And he said that to the nation of Israel and to us for a long time. He's been working with a self-deceived community for a very long time. And he tells us we're self-deceived. Okay. I want this heart changed. I must be self-righteous. I have a life plan, the one where I know the road. I know how you pled with and rebuked the priests, scribes, and Pharisees. You understand? What were the words to Jesus to the scribes and Pharisees? They were the harshest possible. You are whited sepulchres. You look good on the outside, but you're all broken on the inside. And they couldn't see it. And Jesus wants to connect to us and change us, and he's determined to do that. Because they were self-righteous, God looking outside, but good looking on the outside, but empty on the inside, hard hearts of stone, trying to live more righteous lives. Weren't they? And we can be in that condition too. In fact, he says we're in that condition. Turning soft stones into hard stones. You realize that? When the hard-hearted are trying to live more righteous lives, they're just simply becoming harder and harder in their stone hearts. Man, I don't want to be there. Lord, I'm convinced I'm poor. I try to conceal the wretchedness of my reality. I'm delusional and blind to my truth. Help me to know and see my need, to see who I am. Jesus says, I want to show you who you are. You say, I live in spiritual misery. My delusions and the world blind me to this truth. This is Satan's particular target for us, his particular weapon, to blind us to our truth. Wow. I'm addicted to my own truth. I like it. I like it. How hard is it for somebody to convince us that our truth that we live in might not be reality? That's the struggle Jesus has. We are addicted to that truth. I'm addicted to my own truth, proud of whom I am and what I believe. We had a visitor last week, a young man from I can't remember, I've got to look it up, but he was trying to tell us prophecy, trying to tell us that the Sabbath is only on Saturday, not in the evening. To evening was a day. So confusing, but he was on fire for prophecy. And I felt under total attack in his spirit. All about works. He knew all the right words, but man, I felt, how to put it, attacked. And I have known many, many Adventists, many, many Christians that have come across just in that way. He would say something to me prophetically, and I would go, I don't know, I don't see how you're getting there. He'd say, look, it's right there. I'm like, no, it's not really right there. It's not really right there. And he would go faster and faster, just more and more text. And I'm like, do we do that? Do I do that? I try not to, because I know prophecy is a slow study. I know prophecy is a personal study, one that takes time, one that you have to digest, one that if I'm sharing and you say, I have a question, then I need to back off and go, I've got to wait for the Holy Spirit to do what he needs to do. Maybe you have something to teach me, right? It's Jesus' methods, which you said, Barry. Revelation is all about Jesus. Okay. Wow. You say, I'm faking it. Well, let me go back up here. I've got to go back up to my prayer here. I am not, I just know about you. So I'll start on here. Just stop again. Lord, I'm convinced that I'm blind to my nakedness. Do I just know about you? You say I'm naked. I know this means I'm not covered with your robe. Your righteousness. I must be living, experiencing, and exposing my righteousness, my good works. You can see the truth of me. I can't. How can I experience the fruit of the Spirit? How can I do that? You say I'm faking it and that I'm miserable and naked because I believe my own lies. I want to know your truth, my truth. What you haven't said is that I'm deaf. I hear you knocking at the door of my mind, heart, and soul. You asked to come in. Lord, come. I want you to come. You asked me to buy 3 things, but I'm broke. God's Mercantile. I'm broke. Wow. I don't have a penny to my name. So how do I buy this gold? You ask me to buy white clothes, your righteousness, covering my nakedness. You ask me to buy your medicine that will cause me to have spiritual sight. God's Mercantile. What's in your store and how do I buy what you're selling? Okay, back up. What's in his store? Remember? Gold, white clothes, and medicine for the eyes. And you can't get it yourself. You have to buy it. So I'm asking, what is the currency of heaven? Because you say I'm rich and have prospered and grown wealthy and have needed nothing, which is not true, and you do not know that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked, without hope and in great need, I counsel you to buy of me gold, heated, red hot, refined by fire, so that you may become truly rich, and white clothes yourselves, so that your shame and your nakedness will not be seen, and healing salve to put on your eyes that you may see. What is the currency of heaven? What is it? We'll go through a few texts here in a minute. The currency of heaven is faith. You think of the times that Jesus said things like, your faith has made you whole. God gives us the currency of heaven. And the more currency we use, the more we get. It appears Laodicea has no faith, or maybe very little faith. Laodicea is a self-sufficient community. And self-sufficient communities don't hear or see. No, they do hear. They don't see their nakedness. They don't know their nakedness. And Jesus is saying, there's a way you buy. Can you think of texts that talk about faith in regards to buying the currency of heaven?
Well, John, I'm thinking the currency of heaven, isn't it all the lessons we've had? Each one of them is a component of this purchase that you're talking about.
It is. It's not really simple, right, Barry? I'm saying that, right? I'm going to start with the currency of faith, though. Faith is the belief, says Abraham was looking for a city whose builder and maker was God. And why was he looking at that? And how was he looking at that? By faith. How did the children of Israel march around the city of Jericho 7 times and Jericho's walls fell? Was that because of their marching? That was their belief in the promise of God. And God rewarded them for that. How did Israel cross the Red Sea? Was that because they were really good walkers on water? No. They walked through the water by faith. The waters parted by faith. Salvation is by faith. The currency of heaven is belief that God fulfills his promises, not that we fulfill his promises. That's the problem. We want to fulfill the promises of God. And when we try to fulfill the promises of God, we fail. And people experience us and not the Jesus we say we love. Okay, go back, Barry. I'm stopping here kind of in a place that is going to make you think. You get it right.
There is an exchange involved, like money in Texas, putting it in those terms. Yeah, there is an exchange. You can pay the exchange.
Okay, so this is kind of what we were. So what happens when you use faith? Right? Do you have faith to believe that God fulfills his promises? Does that come naturally? Where does it come from?
When you don't know what's going to happen. For example, I have faith that God's going to cure cancer. He may not, but he still answered in his own way, I guess. Study that.
Okay.
You don't always know what is going to happen.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't. I only have $300 in my wallet today. It's not enough. I only have $300 in my wallet today. And my $300 in my wallet leaves me totally bankrupt in heaven's accounting. I can't buy the gifts of heaven with this. And the gifts that Jesus wants me to buy, he says, buy of me. Buy of me gold. What is gold? What does gold represent here? Okay? If he says we're wretched, miserable, poor, what does gold represent? It represents wealth. Spiritual wealth, which would be abundance in the gift of the Spirit. Abundance in kindness, abundance in love, abundance in care, abundance in compassion. I'm trying to leave us in a place of thinking. In the book Education, we remember reading, if all of you are like me, I've read the book several times. There's a statement that says, the one of the world is of men who are as true to duty as the needle as to the pole, who will stand for the right though the heavens fall, who will not compromise. Oh, pole, needle pole. Oh, this is a flagpole. Oh. But what's not in that statement are the things we're talking about. If you take that book, Education, you take that statement, you will get Christians that are hard-hearted and focused on accomplishing tasks. This is a very left-brain statement. And God is trying to connect. Thank you, Adriel, for saying this. God is trying to connect with our right brain. Our right brain that is full of mercy, relationship, love, caring, walking with other people. So this money has no value in heaven. And Jesus literally gives us faith. He gives us faith. And if we exercise that faith in His promises, in His mercantile, we can buy white raiment. We can know for sure that His life covers our filthy rags. We can have surety in who He is and who we are. And we can see again. Through exercising faith and bringing that to Jesus, He will allow us to see again. And He's asking us to do this. I'm not sure that we know where this ends up in our lives and in our hearts. But you know what? I'm sure I want to know. I'm sure I want to experience it. I'm sure I want to experience it. And He's told me the truth about myself. He said, I'm wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. But the one thing I'm not is deaf. I'm not deaf. And He hears me. So the next time when we come back to this subject, we'll talk about what we hear from Jesus, because that's where He connects with us, in the hearing. In the hearing. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Well, let's go ahead and, Not yet. I'm getting a little, yes, I'm getting a little excited here. It's my fault. I stole her glasses this morning. I left mine at home. So I want to challenge each one of us, before we come to the next sermon, which will be in 2 weeks, think about what God has done and how He connects to us by faith, what He changes in us by faith, and how we don't get to change anything. It's all through Him. Every inch of it, every part of it. And there's a lot of conversation in the Scripture on faith. And us. Let's bow our heads. Father, I hear You talking to us, because we might be blind, but we're not deaf. We might be delusional, but we can hear. We hear You say, You don't see right. You're funny. You don't act right. Your heart is not there. And Lord, You say that to us because You want us to bring us in a new position. It isn't to condemn us. It isn't to abandon us. It isn't to yell and scream. It's to say, I have a change for you. A change that is so incredible that it will change you and the world around you. We ask for this change in Jesus' name.